Well, that's another week done, and it's been absolutely nothing to write home about, I'm afraid. You can see how I've done in the video. Viewer discretion is advised due to extreme boredom and misery. Hi everyone from YouTube, it's David here, Amber Logistics, and it is Monday the 11th of March 2024, and we are working, which is good. So if you watched last week's enthralling episode of the Fat Man Travels, you'll know that I had some work booked in. So I did that this morning. So this morning I made my way over. It turned out it was Driffield, the area, for an ADR or hazardous load, and took care of that this morning. That was well paid for what I had to do. Basically, I travelled to this site. It was pretty remote on the coast. Collected an IBC. I'll show you a picture of it here. So that IBC was flammable, and I moved that from the site where I collected it, basically half a mile away, to another site where they were doing some maintenance work. It was forked on at that site, and then they had a tally handler on the other side to unload it. So the actual delivery process took 5 minutes. But obviously, what I was essentially being paid for was to journey there and do it. And then from there, I made my way to North Yorkshire to an RAF base, collected some goods, and I'm taking these to a defence contractor, which is in Wharton. It's got sort of like between Preston and Blackpool. I'm doing that now. And again, this is decent paid work, this. Not everything that I do for my customer is top money, but these are good money. So today is a lucrative day. They have also left me a message to ask if I'll have time to call at Lee near Wigan to do a collection to the airport, which I've said if I've got time, I'll squeeze it in for them. Because I want to get away for the old rehearsals tonight. But I should be okay. I'm on the A66 now. It's going across. And I've got 1 hour 50 minutes to get to Wharton. So that should get me there about 2:30. And it's only 45 minutes or so to Lee, if that. So it should be alright for times. So unless I'm held up at Wharton, I'll be doing that extra job as well. So it should put a little bit of extra money on the day for me. If I don't get time, they'll probably get it covered by someone else. And I'm not bothered, because the day's been alright. So it puts me on a good foot for the week. And then we'll see how the rest of the week goes. I hope you all had a good weekend. It was Mother's Day, so it was nice for me. My mum came up to ours, well, she was picked up. And we all went out for a meal, so it was very nice. Nice to have all the family there. All the kids were there as well. Let's call them kids, but they're all young adults now. So it was quite nice and relaxing. And this week is looking like it might be busy with my customers. We shall see. But I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. And we'll see how the week goes. I hope everyone else has a cracking week. I hope it works out all right for you. Thanks for all your comments on the last video. Do appreciate them. It shows that people do interact. And I'll let you know how we get on further in the week. Hi everyone, it's Wednesday now. It is Wednesday the 13th. And it's not really been any great shakes since Monday, to be honest with you. I did jobs for my own customer yesterday, which was both long wheelbase jobs. One was to pick up from Manchester Airport and go to the Wirral with 3 massive pallets. And the trouble with that particular job is when you get there, they don't have a forklift truck, and the pallets contain hundreds of boxes. So it's handball off. I mean, everybody there pitched in and give a lift, but it's just a bit of a pain in the ass when they haven't got a forklift truck. But these are the things, aren't they? Not everything's easy with pallets on and off. And then I had to make my way down to Anglesey, to Holyhead, to be honest with you. And I went to a medical company there and collected a pallet that was going back to the airport. Not bad pay for it, but you know, it wasn't a spectacular day of earnings. It was okay, but not brilliant. The only consolation is that when I went down there, I did stop and see my mate who's moved there, and it was nice to see him. He's brought a lovely bungalow right near Holyhead, 100 yards from the beach. He's living the life. He got laid off from his job. They moved to this lovely bungalow, and he's picked up a job there now, and he works in a restaurant, and he's really enjoying himself, seeing out his days by the sea. Can't beat it, can't fault it. And then today, again, not spectacular work. Don't think they're all that busy. I got a job to go to Sheffield to collect a pallet, and then go on to Leeds and collect 3 pallets and take them all back to 2 different air cargo receivers at Manchester Airport. And it's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've had a look on the CX. It doesn't seem all that busy. I put a couple of speculative bids in, but I think I'm gonna call it quits at that. Tomorrow I have got an ADR job to cover, which I got off the CX, but was actually posted by someone who's in the same chat group as me, so that was good. So thank you for that. If you do watch this, thank you. And I'll be covering that first thing in the morning, going from Cleck Eaton, which is just sort of like outside Bradford area, and I'm taking that up to the Chesterfield area. And then after that, the world will be my oyster. We'll see if I can pick anything up on the CX. My own customers, it's a bit funny this week because the big boss, the lady who owns the firm, she's away on holiday. And I must admit, she's very fair. She seems to distribute the work quite evenly and looks at the kind of figures that you're getting and kind of gives you work accordingly. So she thinks that you're doing very well, but another driver's not done too good. Then she'll give him a really good job the next day to make up for it, and perhaps put you on a, you know, a standard average job, which is fair enough. But she's been away and somebody else has taken over, and it's not quite panning out quite as good as that. And part of the problem, I think, is the vans that you've got. So there's a mixture of long wheelbase vans, of which there are 4 4-meter long wheelbase vans, of which I am one. Then there's a couple of almost long wheelbase vans, and then the rest are all medium wheelbase or small vans. Now, the small vans obviously can't do the big long wheelbase van work, which some of that long wheelbase van work is not as good. But where they get their work from, that work has to be covered to get the other real high quality work, such as the defence industry work, which generally can be done on a small van. So it seems sometimes that the small vans have the advantage is that the only work that they can do is basically the higher quality work, and the bigger vans have to do the what you call less quality work in order to keep the work for the small vans to do. Sometimes that's what you feel like. But when she's here, she'll still distribute it wise. But it doesn't seem to be the case this week. But we'll just have to suck it and see what goes on. She's back next week. And then I think us long wheelbase guys are going to have a word about that. Maybe the small vans are going to have to subsidise what we do in the long wheelbase vans, so that they can continue doing what they do. Anyway, small world problems. I've got a job kind of off the CX and kind of off the group that I'm in for tomorrow morning, which is a decent paid job, and we'll carry on with that and see how it goes. But This week's figures will not be as good as last week. Last week's was a very, very good week, although I did work for it. And let's face it, this week I've been getting early finishes. I'm finishing now. I put a couple of bids in. They've not come off, so I think I'm going to trudge home. Get myself up early to go and collect that job, and then we'll take it from there. Catch you later in the week. Morning, it's Friday the 15th of March, and we are just leaving home. It is, what time is it? Oh, there it is on the dashboard. It is 7:10. So we've got a bit of light, it's raining, it's chucking it down, and we are doing our last day of the week. And I'll be honest, it's not been a very good week in my opinion. The figures that I'm going to generate this week will just about be enough to pay the running costs, pay the fuel I've used, which is not as much admittedly because of that. Have brilliant work. Pay my wages. But not much in the way of leftover, and I always like to have a bit of a reserve left over, which I throw into the reserve account. Now, last week was a great week, but I'd have settled for something in between last week and this week. I would have been happy, but I'm not overly happy with this week's take. Some of which I've put down to the fact that the big gaffer's away, and I've not really enjoyed the quality of work off my customer that I normally enjoy. You know, I'm prepared to do the lower quality work as long as I get my fair share of some of the decent stuff. Today, for example, I am going to Stoke. I'm going to pick up, I believe it's mobile phones. But I think they've been repaired. I'm picking them from a repair centre and taking them to Crewe. When I get there, I'm taking them to Lutterworth. And then when I get there, I'm picking up 2 pallets of ones that have been repaired, obviously, and taking them to Crewe. And that's it, really. That's all I've got. You can be kept waiting quite a while, especially at the site in Lutterworth. So that can be quite frustrating as well. But never mind. We shall persevere and get what we get today. And I'll probably be finished, I would imagine, early afternoon or maybe slightly before. And then, obviously, I know what my figures are. If I can pick something up afterwards, I will do. But on a Friday, do you really want to get embroiled in a long-distance job going somewhere where you know you're not going to get a return? So all I could do is try and pick up something maybe heading from the Crewe area up to where I live. Yesterday, I didn't do any work for my customers. I picked up a hazardous load on the Courier exchange. When I say the Courier exchange, the job was put on the Courier exchange, but I actually got the job via somebody who's in the same chat group as me. So many thanks to them. JD Transport, highly recommend them. And then when I delivered in the Chesterfield area, I did have a couple of options. So option one is obviously try and find another job going anywhere on the Courier exchange. James from Freddie Fletcher rang me and said that he had a site clearance I could do in Sheffield, but it wasn't going to be till after 1 o'clock. And so I looked, I said, thank you for ringing me, but it's quite a while to wait. I'm hoping to pick up something before then. If you can't clear it, if I don't get anything, I'll gladly do it for you. So I started looking on the Courier exchange and I put quite a lot of bids in. And they weren't tremendously high bids, but I didn't get a bite. It wasn't all that busy in the Chesterfield area, or the catchment area of Chesterfield. I think it takes you to Worksop, Sheffield, maybe Mansfield, that kind of thing as well. In fact, you know, it was a pretty dead. But then I got a message back from that JD Transport to say that they had another job going out of the place I delivered to. It wasn't an ADR or hazardous load, but it was going up to Wakefield and then over to Huddersfield. Would I be interested in covering that for them? And of course, yes, I was. And I'm very grateful for it. It got me near home and got me finished at a pretty reasonable time. So I got a load there and I kind of load back, didn't I? The load there was at a high hazardous load rate. The load back was at a standard van rate, but I was happy with that. And I've decided that, well, I'll look to see if I can pick up another hazardous load maybe for the next day. I put a couple of bids in for jobs that come on the Courier exchange. But the trouble with a lot of the jobs that are posted on the Courier exchange, and other people have mentioned this as well, not all of them are actually jobs yet. They are out for quote. So somebody contacts a shipping agent, delivery company, whatever you want to call them, and says, hi, we've got, 250 kilograms of lithium batteries and we want to get them to Pontefract. How much will that cost? Now, that particular agent might not be all that au fait with hazardous loads. So they put the job on the Courier exchange, but it's actually not actually a job yet. It's out for quote. And then what happens is their customer doesn't just settle for ringing them. They'll ring other transport companies making inquiries who in turn will post the job. So sometimes, quite frequently, you see the same job advertised on the Courier exchange by several different shippers or transport companies. So when you see that, the likelihood that that's not going ahead. So I did bid. I put some bids on a few of them, the same price on with all the different shipping companies, and yes, they came back. It's just cancelled, not going ahead, because obviously, if I bid say £200, they're going to want to add whatever supplement or profit they want to make on that, and we'll go back to the customer and say, yeah, it's £300, and they might say, no, that's a bit rich, we won't bother. So there was a few hazardous loads advertised, none of which I got. I might have been too expensive, of course, on some of the other bids. And that's that. So I didn't have anything, but then I got a telephone call from my customers, not the big boss, the person who's running at the moment, asking if I was free today. And of course I said, yes, I am, because something is better than nothing. And which is why I'm doing this today. I know you shouldn't be ungrateful and you should get what you get. But at the end of the day, if you are running a long wheelbase van, it has to turn over a certain amount of money to make it worth your while. It has to make more money than a small van does, for example, because it doesn't get as many miles per gallon and it costs a lot more to buy. And this week, I have felt that the numbers have not stacked up for me. Now, you can't get a great week every week, and to be honest with you, I've not done any late nights. I've not worked a massive amount of hours, so the work probably just hasn't been there. And there's no point, I'm not going to sugarcoat things for people who are thinking of coming to this industry. This stuff happens. I've made money. I've probably just made enough to get by. And there are people out there who are not making enough money and are packing it in. Again, this week on the chat group, somebody's put, my van's up for sale, packing it in. Which is really sad that they can't make it pay for them. And they've got employed work. They've got a job working for somebody else as a driver because it guarantees them a set income. So if, again, you're thinking, I'm going to get into this, I'm going to be self-employed, I'm going to do my own thing, think long and hard about it first. If you're in an employed job with all the benefits that come from being employed, you know, sick pay, holiday pay, no expenses, you're driving a van. For example, if you're a van driver for a company, that van doesn't cost you anything to run. If it gets stolen, it's not coming out of your pocket. If it breaks down, you don't have to mend it. So think long and hard. Part of the reason why I come into this game was the freedom and the fact that financially, I didn't have a mortgage anymore. My kids are grown up. There wasn't the same financial demand. And the job I had, whilst relatively well paid, did come with quite a bit of pressure, which I felt at my age I didn't need anymore. You could never leave the phone alone. The emails were coming through at night. Then in the day, you've got customers mithering, you've got drivers mithering you. You're getting in the morning early to sort out the drivers, where they're going. You've got all the other problems that you've got with running fleets of vehicles. And it never, ever seemed to be away from me. I could never leave it behind. At night in bed, you're thinking about the next day. So I figured by going self-employed, I might not make as much money as I was before, in terms of that I had a reasonably comfortable salary and a company vehicle, but it would give me peace of mind. And you know what? On the whole, I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed doing what I do. It's not without frustration. I get frustrated by some of the shipping companies that post work on the Courier exchange. I feel as though that the information they give is deliberately vague, because they don't want to quite admit just what's involved with the job. I feel as though that they should consider the drivers who are representing them and doing work for them, just how much that driver's going to make out of that job after they've taken their cut. And they should realise that some of the money, the prices that you expect them to do it for, you know, are clearly below minimum wage. Now, obviously, being a shipper, a transport company, doesn't have to come with a conscience, but I think it should. I think you should think of this guy that we're sending out, or girl that we are sending out to do this job, is not going to make enough money out of this. And I think you should think about that and think about what that person is doing. Why don't you lessen the profit you make on it so that they can make some money out of it to earn a living wage? And then people will think more of you, will want to work for you, will put a better effort in. You know, companies are saying now, oh, we can't trust the drivers on the CX anymore because they're doing the co-loading, or they're not doing this. But, you know, it seems as though the drivers are forced to co-load sometimes because of the ridiculously low price that they get the job for. The only way they can make any money is by secretly taking another load. Now, I don't condone it myself, but you know what? I can understand why they do it. Now, I know that you're not going to take any notice of what I say, but if I was a shipper, which I am not, I would want drivers to work for me again and want to work for me again, especially drivers who do a good job, and would want to give them a fair price so that they will work for me again. A lot of shipping companies are now poaching drivers in a way by getting them to sign up to their own apps so that they can give them the work direct. But it seems as though they're not even giving it a very favourable terms. Some of the prices that I've heard drivers are getting for working direct for some of these companies doesn't seem sustainable. The only way it works is if they can link you up with work. Then I can understand it. But either way, it's a difficult time in this industry. It's really hard. And I'm going to stick it out because I really do like doing this job. Today's money, it won't be fantastic. It'll be okay, but it won't be fantastic. For the miles I do and the time I do, I suppose you could say, well, it's only half a day's work, and which is strictly true. But on a Friday afternoon, it's difficult to pick up work that suits you. especially on the Courier exchange, which at the moment does seem to be struggling. There seems quite a bit more work going on there, but again, the expectancy now is for you to do it for a certain price. I mean, that might change as demand increases. And if drivers continue to drop off and not renew their subscriptions because they're no longer doing the game, it may be that the demand for drivers is greater and the work will increase. But that seems a shame that you're going to get more money in the future at the expense of someone who's had to give it up. But there isn't any easy solution, is there? I work the way I work because I don't have the same financial demands. Other people will look at the way I work and think, why does he do that? I understand that, but that's just me. This is how I do it. It might change. It might be. When I look at the end of year 2 figures, which will come in June, it might be that I think I'm going to have to rework what I'm doing. I'm not too sure about this being reliant on one particular company or customer to give me the bulk of my work. I think I'm going to rethink that. It's just that you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, and I think that I might even start touting to get some extra work of my own, because realistically, if I don't do this for them at the moment, I've got to use the CX, and it would be nice to have several avenues, and I encourage people to do the same. I mean, I know, like James from Freddie Fletcher, you know, he's offered me work, and I've not been able to do it because I've been working for these. I've had a few inquiries online because some people have seen me on this channel, and some people have stumbled across the website. But I've never really taken this serious because I've never really wanted to commit to having a customer and the demands that that brings. But I might rethink it. I'll see how next week goes with these. But I'm certainly not going to be a whipping boy because I've got a long van and it's needed to do certain work. It has to pay if it's going to be that certain work. And if it means a small van guy's got to subsidise it, then so be it. It don't cost you as much to run your van. But I don't own that firm. It's not up to me. We'll be having a chat next week, and we'll see if anything comes of it. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off this week. I hope that people have had a better week than me. I hope that if you are giving the game up, you find something really good. If you got any questions, please put them in the comments. I have had a few inquiries this week. Someone's asked if I can go over ADR. Now, I have done a video on ADR. Perhaps it needs updating, so I might consider doing a more up-to-date video on ADR, i.e. carrying hazardous loads. Again, with the proviso that it's from my perspective and from what I know, and I don't know everything. But anything else you want to know or you think that would be good to cover, then please put it down. Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up. All it does is help the video come out. And please consider subscribing, which is absolutely free. And I'll see you next video.